judgment calls about moving ahead in the life of a growing church. It takes some hard work and some perseverance, and it takes some brain power. Folks, I think we have what it takes. Discernment in our decisions for the future involves first knowing who we are. That's why we now have a new vision. It describes us as a church growing into a clear identity. We're a church inviting and accepting all people, committing to social justice, outreach, and interfaith cooperation, and growing in faith through worship and education. A number of folks have put their heads together and come up with this vision statement. The church council agreed that this is a good definition of who we are and who we want to become even more. The vision differentiates us from other churches. Some churches are not welcoming of all persons. Some churches are not interested in social justice or interfaith cooperation. They're not. Some churches are only interested in a personal relationship with Jesus. Now, we are certainly interested in growing spiritually and developing a personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ, but that's not the only thing we're interested in. Churches that focus only on a personal faith sometimes get caught up in looking only inwardly. I read an interesting article in the Christian Century magazine by Philip Carey entitled, "No Secret Plan, Why You Don't Have to Find God's Will for Your Life." Some people who might call themselves evangelicals get fixed on trying to find God's will for their lives. We all stress about big decisions in life, like decisions about school or career or relationships. That's common to us all. And others also add the burden of the question, what is God's will for my life? And I'll admit I've pondered this question. You probably have too. But this author in this article gives me a new way of looking at priorities. He says that God's will for my life is not just sitting out there somewhere waiting to be found. It's not the kind of thing you have to look for and find. You can disobey God's will, sure, that's easy to do, and we call that sin. The point of the argument is that what we need is a discerning mind to make choices according to what is good. What is good for our families, our church, our community, and our world. We need the virtue that the Bible calls wisdom to make those decisions about what is good. In terms of stewardship, this means we need to use our brain power to do good in this community. And when we do that, we're carrying out God's work in the world. Another way to say it is to say that we are to do God's work such that it becomes our work. The more important question than the personal one, what is God's will for my life, is the question, how can we best do God's work in the world? We need to ask God for a discerning mind so that we will choose good ways to meet the needs of our community and our world. Solomon needed guidance from God when he became king. He was young and inexperienced. He prayed, "Give your servant an understanding mind to govern your people, able to discern between good and evil." God responded to Solomon with the words, "Because you have asked this, and have not asked for yourself long life or riches or for the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right, I give you a wise and discerning mind." This is what we need. God's wisdom, God's compassion, and God's faithfulness. There's nothing magical about it. It's no secret. We don't have to go talk to some wizard to find it. What we need to do is replicate God's virtues. We need to be wise. We need to be compassionate, and we need to be faithful as God is. I believe more important than the personal question about God's will in my life is the communal question. How can we make wise choices about the resources of time and money that we have in our community and in Roanoke Park? How can our churches bring health and healing to the world? How can our church stand up for those who have no voice? How can our church be an agent of change in a society, for example, where a young gay man felt he had to take his own life after a roommate put a private film on the internet? How can our church bring wholeness to families suffering from drug and alcohol addiction? How can our church be a reconciling force in a culture that is afraid of people who are different, afraid of people of other faiths and other cultures? We need a discerning mind, for sure. These aren't easy problems to solve, and there's not one easy answer. I believe God figures we'll try a lot of things and make some mistakes along the way. We won't always make the, quote, right decision. But it would be nice to have resources, to have brain power, to have willpower, and to have wherewithal to make some bold decisions for the future of St. John's. It would be nice. It would be nice to be able to do more than just maintain our church property and pay the bills. It would be nice to put some funds into a program that will reach out and allow us to fulfill our vision. When Jesus told a parable, he told about an unjust judge who refused to help a widow. But because of her persistence, he changed his mind. Even he, the unjust judge, made a decision to help the widow. If even the judge, who had no respect for God or for humanity, could change his mind and choose good over evil, how much more should we be able to do? We're not sure what we will encounter on the yellow brick road. We'll never know for sure what's coming in the future. But I think we're going to find that the wizard really isn't so wise. When you pull the curtain back, we'll see he's just an ordinary man. Wisdom comes from God, and it's put to practice when we discern all along the road of life what is right.